There is a driving law that went into effect just weeks ago that could get your license suspended the very next time you get behind the wheel. And the worst part, you have probably broken it already this week without even knowing it existed. I am not talking about something obscure or buried in a legal footnote. I am talking about a law change that is being enforced right now, today, in your state, by real cops who are actively looking for it. And number 3 on today's list, I will be upfront with you. Number 3 is the one that is going to shock you the most. It has already triggered over 50,000 citations across the country since January. 50,000 drivers who thought they were doing everything right, who thought they knew the rules, who are now dealing with fines, points, and insurance rate hikes they never saw coming. Before we get into it, do me one quick favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Not at the end. Right now. Because this is exactly the kind of information that 90% of drivers never find out about until they are standing on the side of the road watching a cop write them a ticket. I put out these updates before they hit your wallet, and I do not want you to be the one explaining to an officer that you did not know the law changed. In 2026, ignorance is not a defense. It is just an expensive mistake. Here is the situation. As of 2026, 10 significant driving laws have either been introduced or drastically updated across the United States. Some of these are federal-level guidance changes, some are state-by-state expansions of existing laws, but all of them share one thing in common. They are being enforced aggressively, and the fines are not small. We are talking about violations that start at $150 and climb well past $1,000 depending on where you live and how many times you have been caught. Most of these changes did not get mainstream media coverage. There was no big announcement, no warning letter in your mailbox. The laws quietly changed and enforcement began. That is exactly why you need to know all 10 of them before you drive another mile. Let us get into it. Law number 1. Hands-free just got a major upgrade, and the version of this law you know is already outdated. You think you already know this one. I hear that all the time. But I promise you, what you know is the old version. Yes, hands-free has been a rule in most states for a while now. But what changed this year is the definition of hands-free itself. In 42 states, the law now specifies that hands-free means zero physical interaction with your device at any point during your trip. Not at a red light, not in stopped traffic during a backup on the highway, not even a single tap to accept a call on your properly mounted phone. Here's where people are getting blindsided. Let us say your phone is mounted on your dashboard correctly. You did everything right. But when your GPS app reroutes you, you reach up and tap the screen to confirm the new route. That single tap, even at a complete stop, is now a ticketable offense in those 42 states. Officers are specifically trained to watch for that reaching motion. In states like Kentucky, Arkansas, and West Virginia, the old holding loophole has been permanently closed. Before this year, you could argue you were just moving your phone or holding it for GPS. That argument no longer works. If they see your hand on that phone, even for a split second at a red light, you are done. The fine for a first offense ranges from $250 to $800. Second offense in the same year, some states are looking at $2,500 and a mandatory distracted driving course that comes entirely out of your own pocket. Set your GPS before you start driving. Enable full voice control. Keep your hands off that screen from the moment you put the car in drive until you park. That is the only version of hands-free that protects you now. Law number 2. Speed camera zones have tripled overnight, and most drivers have no idea. In 2026, 29 states passed legislation allowing municipalities to expand automated speed camera programs beyond school zones and construction zones. What that means practically is that cameras can now be installed in residential corridors, near parks, on highway on-ramps, and in what are being called high-risk corridors, a term local governments get to define however they want. And here is the part that nobody is warning drivers about. These cameras are not always marked with signs in advance. In most of these 29 states, there is no legal requirement to post a warning sign before a speed camera. You will drive through, you will be photographed, and 3 weeks later, an envelope arrives at your home. The fines start at $150 for 5 miles over the limit and increase from there, but here is the real cost. Because these are camera-issued citations and not officer-issued tickets in many states, the point system works differently. Some states attach points, some do not. The inconsistency means a lot of drivers assume they got away clean because they did not get points, but the fine still goes on your record, and your insurance company will find it at renewal. Check your regular commute routes. If you drive through any area near a park, a school, a residential neighborhood with heavy foot traffic, or any road your city has recently repaved or upgraded, assume there may be a camera operating there right now. Law number 3. And this is the one I told you about. This is the one catching thousands of drivers every single week who had absolutely no idea it changed. Failure to maintain lane now includes a behavior that almost every driver does every single day without even thinking about it. Let me explain exactly what changed. Failure to maintain lane used to be enforced almost exclusively when a driver visibly drifted outside their lane, crossing a lane marker, weaving, that kind of obvious movement. In 2026, 36 states have updated the statute to include what is being called lane position inconsistency. That means repeated micro-movements within your lane that suggest distraction or impairment, even if you never cross the line. Here's why this is catching so many people. You are driving, your mind drifts for a second, you unconsciously drift toward the left side of your lane, then you correct yourself back toward the center. In the old framework, that was totally fine. You never left your lane. Under the updated law in these 36 states, that correction movement itself is now grounds for a traffic stop. Officers are being trained to look for the overcorrection pattern specifically because it correlates with phone use and drowsy driving. But here is what makes number 3 the most dangerous law on this entire list. Because the interpretation is partly subjective, it is the officer's observation of your lane behavior. Drivers are being pulled over and then discovering additional violations during the stop. The lane behavior gets the officer to your window. What happens after that is a whole separate problem. We are talking about fines between $250 and $600 for the primary violation alone. And in 14 of those 36 states, a failure to maintain lane citation now automatically triggers a mandatory insurance notification. Your rates go up even if you fight the ticket and win, because the notification goes out when the citation is issued, not when it is resolved. If you drive long stretches, if you commute, if you ever feel yourself zoning out, eyes on the road, hands steady, lane position consistent, this law is actively being used and the numbers are going up every single week. Quick note before we keep going. Everything I'm sharing here is educational information to help you stay informed and protect yourself. Driving laws vary by state and change frequently. For your specific situation, always verify with your state's DMV or speak with a traffic attorney. With that said, let us keep going because we are not even halfway through, and the laws coming up are the ones doing the most financial damage to everyday drivers right now. Law number 4. Left lane camping is now a high priority enforcement target, and the fines will shock you. Most drivers think that if they are going the speed limit, they can stay in the left lane. That logic is now costing people $500. Across 31 states, including major corridors in Texas, Arizona, and Nevada, left lane camping is being treated as a serious traffic violation. The law has been clarified. The left lane is for active passing only. If there is a car behind you and you are not moving faster than the car to your right, you are impeding the flow of traffic. Cops are now using radar technology that detects when a line of cars is forming behind a single driver in the left lane. Even if you are going 70 in a 70 zone, if you are not passing, you are breaking the law. The fines have jumped from a slap on the wrist to a $500 penalty in states like Nevada. The Department of Transportation found that left lane campers cause more road rage accidents than almost any other single factor. Imagine you are cruising, minding your own business, and suddenly you see those lights. You think you were not speeding. It does not matter. You were in the wrong lane. And in 2026, that mistake is catching thousands of good drivers every single week. Stop using the left lane for anything other than passing. Period. It is the easiest $500 you will ever save. Law number 5. The right turn on red blanket ban is spreading to cities you would never expect. For decades, right on red was the golden rule of American driving. It kept traffic moving and saved fuel. But as of January 2026, that era is officially ending in major urban centers. Over 40 major cities, including New York, Chicago, Seattle, and now even parts of Phoenix and Dallas, have implemented blanket no turn on red zones. Here is the trap. In many of these cities, they are not putting up a sign at every single intersection anymore. Instead, they are placing a large sign at the entrance of a downtown district or a high pedestrian safety zone that says, "No turn on red in this district." If you miss that one sign at the city limit and turn right on red 3 blocks later, you are caught on camera. The 2026 AI intersection cameras are programmed to detect wheel movement during a red cycle. If your tires rotate more than a few inches while the light is red, the system flags it. The fine is $250. In Los Angeles, if you do this in a school safety district, the fine doubles to $500 and it is an automatic 2 points on your license. Most drivers are doing this purely out of habit, not malice, but the cameras do not care about your habits. When you enter any downtown district in any major city, look for that district-wide sign before you assume you can turn on red. Law number 6. School zone cameras are now running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This is arguably the most surprising change of the year. Historically, school zone speed limits only applied when children were present or during specific morning and afternoon hours. As of early 2026, states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Maryland have authorized continuous automated enforcement. These cameras do not sleep. In many jurisdictions, if you are in a designated permanent school safety zone, the lower speed limit is enforced 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even during summer break and at 3 in the morning on a Sunday. The logic is that these zones are often in high-density residential areas where kids play at all hours, but for the average commuter, it is a total trap. If you are used to driving through that zone faster on your way home from a late shift, you are going to find a $150 ticket in your mailbox 2 weeks later, and since these are camera-based, they can stack. If you drive that route every day for a week before the first ticket arrives, you could be looking at more than $1,000 in fines before you even realize the signs were updated. Slow down in every school zone, every time, regardless of the hour. Law number 7. Bike lane zero tolerance is now a tow-first policy in 19 states, and it is happening faster than you think. If you have ever pulled over just for a second to drop off a friend, check something quickly, or run into a coffee shop, your car is now a target. In 19 states, including Massachusetts, Oregon, and Colorado, parking or even stopping in a bike lane has been upgraded to a towable offense. In 2025, you might have gotten a $50 ticket under your windshield wiper. In 2026, cities have partnered with private towing companies that patrol these lanes constantly. These are not parking enforcement officers. These are contractors who are financially incentivized to hook your car as fast as legally possible. Here's how fast it happens. If a smart city sensor in the pavement detects a vehicle weight in a bike lane for more than 60 seconds, it alerts the nearest tow truck. We have seen reports of cars being hooked and moved before the driver even makes it back to the curb. You are looking at a $150 fine, plus a $300 towing fee, plus daily impound storage fees. By the time you get your car back, you have spent $600 for a 2-minute stop. There is no such thing as a quick stop in a bike lane anymore. Find a legal spot even if it takes a few extra minutes. Law number 8. Aggressive driving definitions were expanded, and the new definition includes behavior you probably do without thinking about it every single day. Aggressive driving used to be defined by most states as a combination of multiple moving violations committed at the same time, speeding while tailgating, or weaving while failing to signal. In 2026, 27 states rewrote their aggressive driving statutes to include single-instance behaviors if they meet a certain severity threshold. What does that mean practically? It means that if you tailgate someone for an extended period, even if you are not speeding, even if you are not doing anything else wrong, you can now be cited for aggressive driving as a standalone charge. Same for brake checking, same for intentional lane blocking, same for excessive horn use in a non-emergency situation. Here's why this matters enormously. Aggressive driving is not a simple moving violation in most of these states. It is a misdemeanor. Fines start at $500 and go up to $1,000. You can be required to attend a driver intervention program. In some states, it carries a mandatory license suspension for a first offense, and it goes on your record as a misdemeanor, not just a traffic ticket. The behavior most commonly cited under the new definition is sustained tailgating. If you follow another vehicle at less than a 2-second gap for more than a quarter mile, you are within the definition of aggressive driving in 19 states. 2 seconds. Most people tailgate without even realizing it. The next time you feel the urge to ride someone's bumper because they are going too slow, remind yourself that the consequence is no longer just a moving violation, it is a misdemeanor. Give the car in front of you space. It is genuinely not worth it. Law number 9. School bus stop arm camera violations now follow you across state lines. This has been in development for years, and it finally went live in 2026. 33 states have now joined a shared database that tracks stop arm violations, those cameras mounted on school buses that photograph vehicles that illegally pass a stopped bus with its stop arm extended. Previously, if you got caught on a bus camera in one state, it only affected your record in that state. If you lived in a neighboring state or were traveling through, the ticket might not even follow you home. That is over. As of January 2026, the Interstate Violation Sharing Database is active in 33 states. If you run a school bus stop arm in any of those states, it goes into the shared system and is reported to your home state regardless of where the violation occurred. Your home state DMV processes it exactly as if it happened in your own backyard. The fines for stop arm violations have also increased. First offense now ranges from $400 to $1,000 in most states. Second offense in a 5-year window automatically triggers a license suspension in 21 of the 33 states. There is no grace here. This is a zero-tolerance category of violation, and the enforcement infrastructure is now national. Law number 10. This is the most controversial change in American driving history, and it directly affects how much you pay for any ticket based on something you never thought a cop would see. As of January 2026, 6 states, California, Oregon, Washington, New York, Illinois, and Vermont, have officially moved to a sliding scale fine system. For nearly a century, a speeding ticket cost the same whether you were a college student or a billionaire. In 2026, that is over. These states have adopted a system similar to what Finland and Switzerland have used for years, where the punishment is designed to be felt equally across all income levels. Here is exactly how it works. When you are issued a ticket, the officer gives you a violation code. When you go to the state's payment portal, the system pulls your most recent state tax return data. If you earn $35,000 a year, that speeding ticket might be the standard $150. If you earn $150,000, that same ticket could jump to $600. And if you are a high earner making over $400,000, we are seeing fines for simple speeding violations exceeding $2,500. The states argue this makes the law equitable. They say a $200 fine is a life-altering disaster for a low-income family, but just a rounding error for the wealthy. Critics are calling it a massive privacy violation and a wealth tax on drivers. There are ongoing legal challenges in several of these states arguing that using tax return data for enforcement purposes violates financial privacy protections. But until a court rules otherwise, the system is live and it is being used. Regardless of where you stand politically on the fairness question, if you live in those 6 states, your need for speed could now cost you as much as a used car. We just covered all 10, and if you are being honest with yourself right now, at least 2 or 3 of these probably hit close to home. That is completely normal. These changes happened quietly, they were not advertised, and most drivers are still operating on rules that are a year out of date. Here is something important before you go. Everything covered here is educational information to help you stay informed. Driving laws vary by state and change frequently. For your specific situation, always verify with your state's DMV or speak with a traffic attorney. The specifics can vary significantly by location, and what applies in Nevada may not apply in Florida. Here is your action plan, and I mean actually do this today. First, go out to your car right now and check your phone mount. If your mount requires you to reach out of your natural line of sight, move it behind the rearview mirror, or get a proper dash mount that keeps it at eye level. The new hands-free laws treat any reaching motion the same as holding your phone. Fix the mount and eliminate the risk entirely. While you are at it, set up full voice control on your phone so that you never need to touch the screen at all during a drive. Most smartphones already have this capability built in. Use it. Second, spend 5 minutes on your state's DMV website and search for 2026 legislative updates. This information is free and publicly available. What you find could save you hundreds of dollars. Driving laws are state-specific, and what just changed in your state may not match anything I described here in exact detail, but you need to know your specific version of these rules. If you regularly drive through other states for work or travel, check those states too. The school bus database and several other enforcement systems are now interstate, which means out-of-state violations follow you home. Third, stop using the left lane for anything other than active passing. This is the single easiest habit change on this entire list. It costs you nothing, it adds almost no time to your trip, and it eliminates a $500 fine that is currently catching drivers by the thousands every week. Move right after you pass. Make it automatic. Fourth, update your address with your DMV if you have moved in the last 2 years. With camera-issued citations now mailed to your address on file and payment windows shortened from 90 days to 30 days in 18 states, drivers are finding out about violations only when their license is flagged during a traffic stop. At that point, you are dealing with a suspended license, accumulated late fees, and a reinstatement process that takes weeks. An address update takes 3 minutes, and it protects you from a cascade of consequences you would never see coming. When you receive any citation, calendar the 30-day mark immediately. Do not let an administrative deadline turn a $150 ticket into a $600 problem with a suspended license attached to it. Remember, law number 3 is the one catching the most drivers right now. The updated failure to maintain lane statute is being actively enforced in 36 states, and the combination of a subjective enforcement standard and the automatic insurance notification makes it uniquely dangerous. You can fight the ticket and win in court, and your insurance rates still go up because the notification was already sent the moment that citation was issued. There is no undoing it. Stay aware of your lane position on every single drive. Keep your steering smooth and your corrections deliberate. Avoid zoning out on long stretches. If you feel fatigue coming on, pull over safely and take a break. Drowsy driving is one of the primary triggers for the lane position behavior that now gets officers to your window and everything that follows from there. The road in 2026 is a fundamentally different environment than it was even 12 months ago. AI cameras, automated citations, expanded enforcement zones, misdemeanor level reclassifications, and now income-based fine structures. The era of casual driving where small mistakes cost you a manageable flat fee is over. But here's the thing. None of this has to affect you if you simply know what changed. Knowledge is the entire difference between the driver who breezes through 2026 and the driver who spends thousands of dollars learning these lessons the hard way. You now have that knowledge. Use it. If this gave you something useful, share it with one person you actually care about. Most of these tickets happen because people simply did not know the rules changed. They were not reckless, they were not careless, they just did not know. And now you do. Keep that information moving, stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one.